Hey Megan,
Hi Sean, how are you?
very good, very good. Thanks for getting on. We really appreciate you being a part of our international Women's Week campaign here in the FAI and with Fingal County Council. We have some questions that we'd like to ask you, and hopefully we can get a bit of an insight into your playing career along with your coaching career. How does that sound?
Yeah, good, excited, looking forward to it.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, look, we're looking at your list of achievements. It's the list goes on and on and on. You're currently playing in the Women's National League. You were with Peamount. You're now with Shelbourne. You're an Ireland underage international. You've played in the World Student Games. You're back-to-back league winners in 2019 and 2020. You've won the FAI Cup. You've won the League Cup. You're currently on your UEFA A license. The list just keeps going and going and going. So, wow. And I guess the first question that we have to ask you is where did it all start? How did Megan Lynch get into football?
Yeah, I think like most people and most girls, it's probably different for young girls these days than when I was growing up. You have your TV and all the advertising women's football now. But I suppose where I came from when I was younger was definitely family. My granddad, huge football fan. My family were growing up as huge United fans, and as I got to 5 or 6, I was every weekend was like the United games were on. I just wanted to be involved in football. I wanted to be playing, and not that it wasn't the norm back then for girls to get involved, but like I wanted to be in there and in about with the lads. So I joined my local football club, and that's where I really kicked off. And I started playing football with Swords Celtic and Swords Manor, in the Fingal area, and I was playing with them for numerous years. And then when the time came where I had to go to women's football, I decided to make a move to Shelbourne. Went in there into the complete unknown. Didn't know anything about women's football. I remember going to one Ireland senior women's game. I think they were playing France probably in Richmond Park, and it was the first game I was ever been. So I didn't know any players' names, nothing like that. And I remember watching the match at the time, and I was like, oh, I want to play for Ireland someday. And I started to find out about women's football. So as I said, I moved to Shelbourne then.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I just you had mentioned your local club there in Swords. I guess what kind of influence would they have had on you, and how was your kind of first experience maybe joining that club at grassroots level?
Yeah, so a brilliant experience. I was the only female when I went in there, and I have to say, the lads' time I was in school with them, and they're really good to me. I found when you're playing boys' teams at the weekend, they were looking going, this team have a girl on their team, and as I said, it wasn't really the norm. And I think after the first 5 minutes, the lads realised that I'm not going to say I was a great footballer, but I was decent enough, and I could hold my own on the pitch. And that kind of, she's a female, completely went out the window. And that's what I want. So I want to be just another player. I didn't want to be that female girl player. And then I had a year or two where there was actually another girl on the team. So it was great to have her. But as I said, the lads really took me under their wing for them years growing up. And, it's great seeing someone about now, and some of them are still playing. And particularly their parents just kind of loved me back then, the girl on the team. And they're always constantly asking my mum and stuff how I'm getting on. And it's great to hear that I am doing well and I'm playing Women's National League. So yeah, I have to say it was really enjoyable. Swords Celtic, as I mentioned, Swords Man, they were brilliant to me, and they really helped me develop as a player and get me to where I am today.
Brilliant, brilliant. And look, I'm sure you're a local hero now inside Celtic with that being your first grassroots club. And I guess grassroots being the starting point for everybody, no matter what, whether you're playing at the very highest level, or whether you've reached different levels. But I guess what were your coaches like, and do you remember maybe what your coaches were like on grassroots? Because I think sometimes coaches at grassroots don't realise how important they are, and players as high profile as yourself. Do you guys remember the coaches that you first started off with?
Oh, 100%. Like I don't think you ever forget them people that really helped you develop into the player you are today. And I could sit here and name so many names. So many names are still involved in the football clubs. That's what's great about the grassroots clubs. The local communities to really come together to make them clubs successful. And you have like families down in Sword Celtic. Like the Darcys, for example, are running that football club since day one when I was there, and they're still there now and making that club brilliant. And the same with Swords Manor when I went to there. You know, most of them families, most of the people that run Swords Manor live across the road, so it's great when you're in about it in the community and you see the people still and they're asking you how you're getting on, and my old coaches, it's great. So that's what's great about having the local community clubs. It's really family orientated clubs.
Yeah, brilliant. And I guess by what you're saying there, would you have said that you had experience playing at grassroots level? And I guess, do you think that's the case for most girls now, or do you think it's a little bit different? What do you think?
No, definitely. Like it's so positive. And like when you think about girls footballers now, the amount of opportunities young girls have now, you see the amount of underage girls teams in them football clubs, like the levels of participation within women's football have been unbelievable, and the local football clubs have been absolutely brilliant in trying to get girls only football teams. But that back then for myself, them local football clubs were so accepting of me coming into the club and playing with them boys teams. It's slightly different now, and I know that if a girl went into the club and she wants to play with the boys team, the club are certainly happy enough to facilitate that. But as I said, so many clubs in and around this, not just this area, all around Ireland, I'd say majority of the clubs do have them girls teams starting from probably the age of 7 and 8. I'm playing with Shelbourne now, and I know there's like under 7s, under 8s teams right up to the senior team, and it's just brilliant to see that the participation levels have grown significantly since I've started.
Yeah, look, it's brilliant. And I guess the Women in Sport campaign and this campaign here that we're running now with the FEI and Fingal is great, and it's given great exposure to women's football. So no, look, it's been brilliant. And you know, yourself doing stuff like this, it helps, and I'm sure there's little girls that will be watching this, and you know, we'll get a lot from it. So we do really appreciate that. You mentioned Shelbourne, and I guess that was your first kind of move to elite football, or you know, coming away from grassroots and into, I guess, that pathway towards the women's national league. I guess the question I'm trying to ask you is, when did you realize that could be an option for you, or when did you realize, look, I'm going to have to, you know, move on now and try play at a higher level possibly?
Yeah, so I was with Swords Manor at the time, and it got to a stage where, you know, I was 13 years of age, and you get to that age, you find the boys become more physical, you know, our growths are completely different, and it was becoming more physical, and the speed of play was coming a lot quicker. And it was I was looking at myself as a player and saying to myself, you know, after going to them Ireland games, I had to realize, how am I going to get to that level? How am I going to get on that pitch and on that green jersey? You know, the case of stepping into the women's game, and that's where I kind of went looking. I knew Rush Athletic were a big team at the time, and I knew Shelbourne were close by as well. So I decided to go down to Shelbourne and make that big step to women's football. It was completely different. I won't lie, you know, after playing probably 8 years with boys, so different. As I said, the speed of play and the physicality, but I really settled in well. They're a brilliant team, lovely girls, lovely coaches, and I can't thank them enough for how welcome they were, and for my development with them as well, you know. But definitely it was a case of, you know, it was my age. It wasn't, I know girls can play a year older with the boys if they are taking at that level, and it's probably too physical and stuff like that to stick with them.
Yeah, brilliant, Megan. And I guess that move to Shelbourne, then, you know, when did you get that first Ireland call up for, you know, playing for your country, playing underage? What was that like? How did that feel?
I think it took a lot of training, took a lot of commitment and stuff, and you know, you have your pathway that people know about now. You know, it was more of a case of, I got into my regional centre, I was playing for the MGL Academy, doing really well there, going to Gainer Cups, got picked for the Leinster Schools team. That's where I really kicked off, from the MGL and Leinster Schools. And in the space of a week, I was playing the Leinster Schools, performed really well down there in the space of a week. I got called up to the Ireland Under-16s by Harry Kenny to play Northern Ireland in a friendly, and got called up for Ireland Under-15 trials, Under-15 skills trials. So a lot happening after the Leinster Interpros, after a couple of good performances, and I was really blessed and lucky enough to get them called up. So Harry Kenny was my first international call up, and we went to Northern Ireland for the day to play Northern Ireland in a friendly, and it sounds funny now. I know everyone has an iPhone and stuff, but my mum and my family came up with a camcorder. I sound ancient, but came up with the camcorder, and I still have photos to this day of that first match, and your first time in the kit wearing the jersey, and it was a moment I'll never forget anyway as a player. And I'm very thankful to Harry Kenny for giving me that opportunity.
Brilliant, yeah. And then I guess then everything, as you said, starts moving quite quickly then, and then fast forward a couple more years, now you're playing in the Women's National League. And I guess how did that change from grassroots football to now you're a Women's National League player? And I guess what level of commitment changed, like the amount of times you trained, your nutrition, your recovery, even your mindset? Was it all brand new to you, or how did you find that with that new experience, a new challenge?
Yeah, definitely. I'd be lying for saying it wasn't tough. Every young girl, teenager growing up these days, you have your school, you have your social. You're trying to have a decent social life, and I know young girls like to have a nice social life. Yeah, your family and friends, but I had to make that sacrifice and just like say, my football's going to come first here, and you might have to, could be small tweaks and change if you're going out for food with your friends. It's your choice, your food choices in terms of your nutrition, your hydration, so important throughout the day in school. You're a 24-hour athlete at the end of the day if you do want to wear that green jersey, and that's the mindset you really have to have. I know these days we're massive about growth versus fixed mindset. I think you have to have that growth mindset, and you have to be open to learning new things. And I know nutrition and the hydration and being that 24-hour athlete and that football psychology is huge in football now. And I was willing to commit to that, and thankfully, because I did commit to it, I got to the place where I am today. And I wouldn't have if I had that fixed mindset where I thought I knew everything as a young kid, and I didn't want to know about your nutrition and food choices and what will make me the best player I can be. But and in terms of training, your training schedule and stuff, of course, it has to increase. It's not enough probably training with your club once or twice a week and your match on the weekend. I was playing senior level football at the age of 14. I had to make that step up just for in terms of the physical aspect of it, because you could be playing for Ireland and going away to play. For example, I remember going away and playing Spain in a match, and you don't forget them matches against these top countries. They went on to come second in the World Cup, and you're watching them. I know one or two of them now are playing for Barcelona, and at the time you don't realise who you're playing against, but looking back now, two of these girls are starting for Barcelona, and they're the players you want to be playing against. And as I said, I wouldn't have got to experience all them things without the right choices and having the right people around me to advise me in the right direction.
Yeah, and look, that list was endless there with the amount of commitment, and you spoke about hydration and nutrition and the importance of it all, and recovery, as we're all probably aware. It's so important to be able to be that 24-hour athlete that you've said. So I guess how important is recovery, and what do you like to do on your days off, or what do they even look like?
Yeah, so obviously our season just started, so you're trying to get your body into that ability to play 90-minute games at a high tempo every week. So obviously after last Saturday playing our first game back with like a high-speed game, you're going to be sore on Sunday morning. So it's about my probably number one go-to is definitely the pool. Everyone, I'm not going to sit here and say the pool works for everyone. That's not the case at all. But I think the first and foremost, most important thing is your food choices after the game. Shelbourne are really good to us in terms of straight after the game, they have a meal for us. We get a meal provided to us straight after the game to get it into us. Your chocolate milk's there. You speak about hydration, getting then fluids back into you. And then the next day, your foam rollers, your ice baths. As I said, I have a local gym I go to. I get straight in the pool. Could be 10 minutes, 20 minutes in the pool, whatever or I like to get in and just relax for a while. So I'd stay for a bit longer, but it's so important, because if you don't do that, you're going to be sore for the next few days. And if that creeps in and your DOMs creep in, that's where you can pick up little niggles, because after Sunday then, come Monday and you're back to work or whatever your lifestyle is, and we're training Monday night. So it's really important to look after yourself, because the new week begins and your mind changes then to the next week's game, preparing for that. So you need to recover as quick as you can.
Yeah, and look, I think you've probably even answered my next question, because you've hit the nail on the head there by saying you're a 24-hour athlete. I guess what advice would you give to a young player who's maybe looking to make that move into the National League, or potentially now is involved in our underage women's National League, who is looking to get that first call up? Is there any bit of advice that you could pass on to them?
Yeah, so like I say to, in my coaching career, there's two things I say to girls, before they go onto a pitch, and I'd say to girls even like that are listening to this call now, one is you have to enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, like you won't turn up to the training sessions every week. If you dread going to train, you're not going to be able to put 100% effort in. You're not going to improve as a player. And the other one comes back giving 100% is hard work. If you're not willing to put in the hard work and make them small sacrifices, as I spoke about social life there, for young girls, you might see some of your friends going out and about and during the week or on the weekends and doing things you'd like to do with them. But unfortunately, if you want to be that footballer and get to that place and play National League, you might have to make small sacrifices, where it could be a case of choosing the gym instead, something small like that. Or if you do want to go out for food, it's your food choices, making better food choices for yourself. So it's definitely sacrifices, making good sacrifices for yourself, hard work, but most of all enjoying playing it, because as I said, if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, and that enjoyment and hard work and sacrifice, I guess ultimately, would lead to success, and that ties us on to our next part, is your journey to success. You've won the Women's National League 2019, 2020 back to back. Like, it's incredible to win a league in the first place, but to go out and do it back to back is phenomenal. And from the start of this interview, of a long list of FAI Cup winners, League Cup winners. What's it like to be part of a winning team, and then ultimately going up and lifting that trophy at the end?
Relief. We speak about sacrifice there already, and we had our heartbreak where we lost, missed out on the league and missed out on cups in previous years. So it was definitely, when we got over the line in 2019, I had a really good season myself on a personal note, and the team were playing really well. So I'll never forget, we played Shelbourne the week before. It was between ourselves and them for the league, and if we won that night, we won the league. And of course, you have your crowds up the game. You're playing up in Peamount in the home pitch. If you beat them, you win the league, and we lost to them. So I went to the final game of the season. We played Cork, and being able to get over that line and put in not even just to get a win against Cork, but put in a good performance to finish the league on a really positive note was just unbelievable. And winning our first league and I don't know how many years. We brought the likes of Anya O'Gorman in, Karen Duggan in, Claire Walsh, Niamh Burke in at 2 years before that, 2 win league titles. So it was definitely, when that medal went around your neck, it was 100% just relief. And as I spoke about sacrifice, all them sacrifices were just so worth it in the end. Like, I can't explain that enough.
Yeah, and you're talking about winning and putting that medal around your neck at the end, and like they're massive games. And if we look back on your playing career, and you've played in the Women's Champions League, you've played in the Aviva Stadium in cup finals, you've played in, as you said, big games. Like, when it comes down to the last game of the season, that has to be nerve-wracking. And would you have any tips or advice for anybody listening to this call now, whether you're a player or a coach, for having them, I guess, pre-game nerves?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I spoke earlier about everyone's not the same, in terms of their choices. Everyone's different. So I think my go-to is definitely, try not to overthink the game. I'm a big overthinker, and if I remember one specific time, it was my first time at Aviva, and I was getting on the bus, and all I could think about was, oh my God, I'm playing the Aviva Stadium. We're playing on national television. The whole country's gonna be watching. If you start overthinking that, you'll start panicking, and you like the day will go by like that. I think it's enjoy the moment, enjoy the occasion, and just, some people might want to listen to music. Some people might want to, sit with their friends and just chat away and distract themselves. I think that's definitely my go-to. Just you and your friends, that they're living in the moment with you. Just chat away to them. It could be about anything normal in life, just so you're not overthinking the game. And then once you get into that dressing room, I find you have to, your mind has to switch then, to game focus. It's just another game. You don't want to overthink it and tell yourself, you know, what's in it and what's up for grabs and stuff. It's just another game. You know, we got to this place for a reason, because we just gave 100% in the pitch every week and treated it like a normal game. And you know, that's what I like to do. And just, as I mentioned earlier about enjoying it, if you start letting the nerves get to you, that's when the enjoyment can go and you can start overthinking. So I always say just go out and just absolutely enjoy it, as if you're playing just like any other game, or you're going out with your mates in the park. It's just going out and enjoying yourself.
Yeah, no, that's great advice, Megan. Thanks a million. And on that journey, like, I guess there's always going to be bumps. Nobody's journey is a straight line up. There's always going to be ups and downs. And sorry if this brings up some bad memories, but you guys were runners up in the cup in 2018 and 2019, and you've also, you know, experienced the other side of the last day of the season, you know, losing the league on that last day of the season. How do you deal with that? Like, do you have a strategy for, you know, to have that mental toughness or to have that mental resilience? How do you bounce back from something like that?
I think up to now it sounded like my journey's been great and I've won every game, and it's just not been the case whatsoever. You know, I just spoke about game day nerves and playing the Aviva Stadium. I've lost twice in the Aviva. You know, after the first year, you go off and you say it's never going to happen again. Second year, we were odds-on favourites, and it's easy to go in there. But I suppose maybe complacency crept in and stuff. And I think how to overcome it, you know, last day of the season last year, I think the whole of Ireland and majority of the people watching this will know what happened. Obviously, I was with Peamount at the time, and you know, we had last 2 games of the season. Win one, we win the league, and we drew one and lost one. And unfortunately, the league title went to Talga Park, to Shelbourne. It's, as you said, how do you overcome that? I think a prime example, another setback I had was definitely in the World Student Games. You know, with Team Ireland, we've never won a medal with the football team before, and we get to the 3rd place playoff after losing out to an unbelievable North Korea side. We're playing Russia, and we're 2-0 up with 15 minutes left. You're 2-0 up to win a bronze medal, you know, in the World Student Games. You couldn't ride it, and it goes back to 2-2. Tiredness, fatigue just creeps in, you know, and goes to penalties. And I suppose our mindset, we were just so tired and drained, and maybe we couldn't believe what happened. And I actually missed a penalty myself, and I can talk about it. It's a bit easier to talk about now. Because it's 2 years, nearly 3 years since it happened. But how did I overcome that? It was very, very difficult, and I won't say that, you know, after a day I get over it, or after 2 days. It does take a while, but I suppose you build a strong, good character, and it's about having that character and the resilience to move forward and know that there's more things to life, you know, than that football match. And you know, fast forward 4 months, and I was putting a league medal around my neck with Peamount, and I don't think I would have been able to do that if I wasn't able to overcome that setback. But definitely at the time, I remember my captain coming up to me, Chloe Mustaki. A lot of people would know her. She's had a lot of setbacks in her life, and she comes up to me, and after missing that penalty, and I'm in hysterics crying, and she goes, "There's more things to life than what just happened." And that's a really eye-opener, especially with things going on at the moment in life. You have to really understand that football is just a game. You know, I speak with that fun enjoyment. Yeah, you're going to have setbacks, but it's about how you bounce back from them and make sure that it doesn't happen again. And you know, I lost twice in the Aviva, and when we made sure we got to the FAI Cup final that 3rd time, that we didn't lose out on that 3rd final in a row, and we beat Cork in the cup final. So it's about that resilience and having that mental toughness and a winning mentality to be able to bounce back and make sure it doesn't happen again. And I'm thankful I do have stories to say that I have bounced back from them setbacks.
Yeah, and I think that's great, Megan. And I guess maybe what I'm taking from that is that it is always still, you know, about the enjoyment. And you're right, there is more to life than football. And you know, whether it's at grassroots or at elite level, we still need to enjoy it. Win, lose or draw, you need to enjoy it, and that enjoyment will, I guess, get you to bounce back in those difficult moments. And I guess we're delighted that you went on to win the league then that year as well, to make it a little bit better. So Megan, now I think we've got a fantastic insight into your grassroots, and then into your international and even League of Ireland, Women's National League career. So now I guess there's a congratulations in order as well. You've just been accepted onto your UEFA A license, which is fantastic achievement. You've moved into coaching now. How did How has that started? How's it going? What got you interested in the coaching game?
I think a lot of many young adults coming through the game now. College, I ended up applying for Carlow IT, and very thankful that I got onto that course and had 4 amazing years down in Carlow IT. You know, they're the only course in Ireland that's run by the FEI. It's a football course, and it's brilliant. And I started my coaching badges down there with them. And as I in the middle of Carlow, I got approached to do the female only B license. Another brilliant experience. You know, not many countries can say that they host women's only coaching courses, and that's where a lot of females began their pathway. And fast forward to this year, the amount of female only courses that are being run by the FEI and coach education is brilliant. But yeah, I started out in Carlow IT, you know, and built really good relationships with the 2 people that ran the course, you know, Luke Hardy and Tom Elms. And come last year, then Tom Elms was successful in getting the women's under 16s head coach's job, and he contacted myself to get on board and become an assistant coach to him. Just goes to show, like, building a network of you know, relationships with people. So from Carlow IT, he realized that, you know, had a bit about me in terms of my coaching, not just my playing, and he trusted me enough to bring me on board. And you know, it's been a brilliant experience so far. And as a coach, I feel like I can't, if I was to look back a year ago before I started with 16s to now, the amount of development I've had as a coach, and I definitely improved in terms of, you know, on the pitch and off the pitch, and, you know, your confidence and you know, your football communication skills. So definitely with Tom Elms, I've really improved since I started with him. And then I was thankful enough to be accepted onto the A license there last month. So I began that recently down in Cork. So hopefully it's another successful year now on the A license.
Yeah, look, and we wish you the very best on the A license at the moment. And you mentioned that you're now coaching with the Ireland under 16s women's team. How do you find working with, I guess, you know, ultimately our players of the future? And that was you not too long ago. You were in their shoes. Now you're coaching them. That must feel great to be able to develop our future players for our country.
It's brilliant. It was very strange at the start. You know, I mentioned at the start of this interview that my first call up was with Harry Kenyon, the Ireland under 16s, and to think now, you know, 8 years later, I'm that coach developing them players, getting called up for the first time. It's brilliant. And funny enough, a couple of players on the team, I'm actually playing with them at Shelbourne. So you know, you have a coach-player relationship, and then you have your relationship in terms of your teammates as well. So I'm really trying to learn in terms of balancing that relationship I have with certain players, and being able to switch from player to coach with the under 16s environments. But it's very surreal. But I think for myself, the role I play in the team, I think I could bring a lot to the team in terms of, I know what sometimes the players are going through, and having that female role model. I wouldn't say role model, but coach. I know people try to say a role model, but that female coach there that has been through the process before, that the players can come to. And I'd like to think I'm a very approachable person, and I do find that the players come to me a lot with, you know, questions and even maybe feedback sometimes that they might need, because they know I've been through it before, and I'm blessed that I'm able to help them.
I think you've said role model and you stopped yourself, but I probably disagree. And I think everybody that does tune in to watch this interview would definitely disagree, because, you know, when you were 15, 16 years of age, would you ever think that you'd now be in this position, that you are a massive role model for young athletes, whatever sport? I think anyone could really tune in to this interview and get a lot from it. So, you know, it is amazing the work that you're doing and how fast that you've come through it. But definitely, we definitely all think you're a role model for young athletes in the country, Megan. We're going into some last questions. These are some questions that we got from people who would have registered to watch this, and they just got to send in a couple of questions that they wanted me to ask you. A lot of them were quite repetitive. The first one is, who is your favourite footballer and why?
Right. Well, I'm a United fan, so that's tough to answer at the moment. You like to go for your own team. I think growing up, when I was trying to develop as a footballer, he's not playing. Well, he is playing now, but growing up, definitely Iniesta. I think, people speak about, Messi, Ronaldo, and every kid want to say Messi and Ronaldo or Mo Salah now, for example. You'd love that answer, but you watch Iniesta, the technical ability, or you can even pick out, you're watching Kevin De Bruyne there the other day, unbelievable, the technical ability and vision. I like to think I'm more of a technical footballer. I like to play with my brain, more so than my feet. So you're looking at these players and they're streets ahead of everyone, their brains miles ahead of everyone. When they're on that pitch, they know their second, third pass before the ball even comes to them. It's unbelievable. So I'd say definitely Iniesta, but as a United fan growing up, Ronaldo's definitely your favorite player, but to watch Iniesta.
Yeah. Our next question, because you've now moved into the coaching world, who's your favorite coach and why?
You. I think obviously Twitter's huge for football now, and I just get fascinated when the Pep Guardiola videos come up, like the things he knows, and he just doesn't have one philosophy. It's just he has new ideas all the time. And I was watching a video the other day how he broke down Man United's high press and stuff. It's just unbelievable, the insight you get it from him, and his knowledge is just incredible. So definitely Pep Guardiola if you're looking from a professional point of view. But I've really built a good network of people around me now in terms of coaching within the FEI. And as I mentioned already, Tom Elms has been a huge help to myself and helped in my development as a coach. James Scott, another huge example. Unbelievable coach, doing a great job with the Ireland under-17s. And then obviously I've been thankful to Dave Connell, who I had my whole underage career and a brief spell with Harry Kenny. So but definitely the coaching network I've built around me now, with Tom and the likes of James Scott and stuff. But if you're going out of Ireland and around Europe, and the obvious names, it's probably Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, I won't make you pick between the other list of coaches there. But no, look, thanks a mil, Megan. Last question then from the people that are tuned in is, if you could, and look, there's plenty of advice and tips and tricks that you've given throughout this whole interview, but if you could give just one piece of advice, or maybe one way just to kind of sum it up, what advice can you give to young athletes or even coaches across all sports? What would it be?
I know I mentioned the word sacrifice already, but I think the one word that'll probably sum it all up is just commitment. If you commit to something and commit to a process and give that process 100%, I think you will get the results you wanted, or thereabouts. If you have a goal and a set goal and you're 100% committed to giving 100% to reach that goal, you will get there. So definitely commitment, and just don't give up.
Yeah, look, I think that's really good, Megan. And I know you had mentioned earlier that nobody's journey is straight, and you will have ups and downs. But as long as you have that commitment, you've had it, and you've reached the heights that you have. So now, look, Megan, thanks a mil. I think we've got a fantastic insight into your playing career, your coaching career, you as a person as well. I guess, look, just all that's left is to finish up, and we want to thank you from the FAI and Fingal Council and County Council for supporting this campaign for International's Women's Weeks in Sport. And I wish yourself, your teammates, and everybody in Shelbourne, everyone in the Ireland under-16s as well, the very best of luck for the season and the international campaign just have coming up. So thanks a mil, Megan, and hopefully we meet each other and catch up soon again.
Thanks for having me, Sean. I really appreciate it, and thanks to the FEI and Fingal County Council as well. Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks, Megan.